Welcome.
It's good to be back.
It's great to be back. Episode 7.
7. That is into the second half of our first year. Hard to believe that Q1 is behind us.
I know this year is like moving by so fast already.
We expected it to be, right? What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I'm taking scuba lessons right now, which is, I know last time I was like, I'm taking improv classes. This time I'm like taking scuba lessons. You know, I'm just trying to become a well-rounded, balanced.
I live vicariously through Samuel. That's the reality of it. It sounds really, really cool.
I'm just trying to figure out life and just try and find my hobby.
How awesome that we live in a city that you can do all this stuff.
Yeah, there's actually a really cool place over on Lincoln. It's called Underwater Safari. They actually have their own pool in the place. And also, they do mermaid classes, which I think would be actually kind of fun.
I don't know what mermaid classes are.
Do you know what mermaids are?
I do know. I've got 2 little girls. I'm very, very aware of mermaids.
I was going to say, if you don't know.
Mythical creatures of the sea that sparkle and glitter and have magical powers.
Yeah, so they have these like little tails and you just go into this pool and you become a mermaid.
Oh, is it like a fitness thing or is it fulfilling fantasies?
That could be a fantasy. I don't know. I just saw posters of it and I was like, wow, this is kind of cool.
Mermaid and merman classes in Chicago.
Yeah. So what have you been up to?
Speaking of cool things, I had a pretty epic experience myself. On Saturday night, I went to my first roller derby championship.
Oh, yeah, you were telling me.
So
told me that you were going. You haven't told me, filled me in after.
Very, very cool story. My oldest daughter's first grade teacher is a roller derbier. I think that's the correct way to state it.
Yeah.
And
this was like Whip, right? With it from like that one movie with, what's her face?
I forget the movie, but I know the one you're talking about. So kind of that concept. So she had been talking about getting her classes together to come cheer her on, which obviously the kids were super excited about. They had a championship round. It's down at UIC Pavilion. It was the championship round. They trailed the entire game until, and it's a long, there's 2 matches. They're 30 minutes each. They're elongated just like football or anything else. Down to the last 50 seconds. In the last 50 seconds, they took the lead and they won. The place
oh my God,
was electric, on fire.
That's
the kids. And so there I'd probably say there were probably 40 to 50 of her kids from class, as well as their parents. So we had this whole section. And the kids, to see somebody that they were such a role model to them, doing something that was so badass, it was an amazing experience.
Oh my God. So did they like see like people kicking the crap out of each other?
I don't know if I'd really say it was kicking the crap out of it, but it was physical. And those are some badass women. God bless them. I could do it. I don't know if I could do it on roller skates.
What was the name of her team?
There was the Attackers and the Double Cross. Their team is the Double Crossers.
Okay, cool. Okay, that's a great name.
And it was so funny because they all had their stage names too.
Yeah.
So it was very, very fun. If you get the chance to go see roller derby,
so
do it.
What would your stage name be?
Oh.
If you were to come up with a stage.
Well, I will say, though, the woman that was the complete badass, and her name was so good. Her number was 312, and her name was Killinois.
Oh my God.
Right?
That's really
really good.
I feel like yours would be the Annihilator.
Yeah. The Amandinator.
Amandinator.
And you?
I think that's it.
Sam Grenade.
Sam Grenade. Yeah, that's good. Ooh.
Okay.
I actually had a client who was the referee for.
Okay. There's Ken referee. It's
insane. It's kind of a fun thing.
It was super fun. It was super different. We all had a blast. I'd recommend it to anybody.
Love the city for that.
Yeah,
anything and everything just comes up and it's just totally, let's go do it.
Totally. Well, exciting stuff for today. We are on location again.
Yeah.
Today we are at the beautiful model unit at Triangle Square.
Yes. 1701 West Webster Street.
Right. We are in Bucktown.
Brand new construction. It's been open for a little over a year. And they're about 75% sold.
Yep, 75% sold. I know that they've got 2 bedrooms starting in the low 6s. They've got 3 bedrooms starting in the mid to high 8s. They are done with construction, so ready for immediate delivery. Really some great stuff. Yeah, I think we'll maybe take
Belgravia.
Belgravia.
Like Belgravia products are always like really like a standout product.
Tried, tested, true, right?
Goes into a lot of other.
And that's what's so nice about it, right? Think about it. In the last 20 to 25 years, we've seen a lot of different markets. We've seen a lot of people come and go. They have remained consistent and stable throughout it all.
Yeah.
Even as they've kind of done a lot of different types of projects. This is a kind of a mid-rise elevator style building. They've done a lot of great townhome projects. They do a ton of stuff in the West Loop as well. I mean, if I go into a project and I know Belgravia has done it, I can automatically take kind of a breath and say, hey, this was well built.
Yeah, totally.
So what's also really nice about this development is that it's just location-wise, it's really fantastic.
Convenient.
Super convenient. Good schools, good accessibility. The Metro is a stone's throw away.
Yeah.
Literally, and we can't always say that. Mariano's is right around the corner. You know,
You're still like in between certain neighborhoods. I mean, this is technically Bucktown, but you're like Lincoln Park, you're like Bucktown, Wicker Park, like.
Well, that's the great thing. Like Webster or Cortland, and all of a sudden you're in the heart of Lincoln Park and so it's definitely a multifaceted area, and there's so much building going on right around it in this area. Like before,
Lincoln Yards is literally being built right next door.
This was such an industrial area, and obviously now it's blowing up.
But the industrialness is like the cool part. Like we're staring at like this industrial bridge right here, which
for certain, like it's the raw aspect. Anyways, as we mentioned before, we are.
How's your spring market going? So we're Q1. What is going on with you and your buyers, sellers? How do you feel like this market?
You know, it's interesting. It's hard to believe that we wrapped up Q1, right?
Totally.
And looking back on it, I think we were spot on with certain things, and I think we were not spot on with certain things. I think it started early. Like we were busy, hectic in January, and that's what we predicted. We definitely said it was going to start early, and it definitely did. We were working long hours. We were working hard. The inventory, which I feel like a broken record saying it, but the inventory,
bottleneck right now.
The inventory has been a huge challenge for us, even more so than anticipated. Every year we kind of think we're going to get a little bit more, and the reality is that we're not.
Yeah.
I mean, I've luckily in the last 2 weeks I've been on more listing presentations than I've been on in the less before that. And what's interesting is as I'm looking at the data and trying to really figure things out, I'm looking at that year-over-year inventory, and some of our neighborhoods are down 30 to 50% from last year.
And last year was 25 to 30%.
And so it's like kind of explaining to people like, hey, we didn't have it, and now we have half of that. So the inventory has really been tough. We've got a lot of buyers that are one of two things. They're either waiting for the right thing or they're getting frustrated. So buyers are a little bit sluggish.
I mean, I had literally had to tell a client 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, just, hey, so sorry, we're missing out on all these multiple offers. Just like, let's take a step back. I don't want to hear from you for 2 weeks.
Time out.
Yeah, time out. Let's like readjust, and then let's
take a break.
Our wounds and then refocus on it. But you do sometimes need that like little break so that you can actually be successful in the end.
And we've talked about it before. That's a great point. Like this market is hard. This market is hard on the buyers.
Hard on us.
It's hard on the agents. It's hard on the sellers. People think that this is an easy ride for sellers. It's not. We are seeing a lot of our markets are back competitive just because we don't have it. Now on the bright side, I would say for the most part, we feel like everyone that had lost the confidence in Q3 and Q4, well, guess what? That confidence seems to be pretty much there. I think most people, including our fans, the media, have been saying, hey, guess what? Chicago's market seems to be doing okay.
Yeah.
Which
We're
at least
one of the top producing markets right now, which is
that was in Crane's Chicago Business the other day. They talked about how Chicago was doing and kind of said we were doing better than a lot of places in the country, which
and that Wall Street Journal, like that map, the heat wave map was very interesting.
Which I think that's what we were saying at the end of last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were going to outperform a little bit in comparison.
I'm giving myself a pat on the back for that one.
Go for it.
So it's been inventory's lower. It's definitely competitive. That being said, I do feel like where we were busy, I feel like the real start of the market is coming soon. Like we actually have not a ton, but we have a lot of sellers that are prepping. Some of them that are tied to their purchases, they want to purchase first, but we have people that we've kind of now said, hey, its time is now. You've got to do it.
It's dance. It's do you make that decision to put the house on the market because there's no inventory?
Right.
Wait till you purchase.
And you could add more competition.
Dance. Yeah, exactly. So
no, it's absolutely. And that goes back to how we always talk about doing strategy and what makes the most sense and what are the big priorities. We tell a lot of our clients, selling at the highest sales price might not be somebody's priority. And some sellers will say, what do you mean? But there's a lot that goes into that.
I feel like we've been offering a lot of like rent back situations right now, especially like because sellers are wanting to come on the market to get their house sold. Again, alleviating some of this inventory issue and then having some of that flexibility after to even have a couple months to find a property or whatever they need to do.
We should probably get into the questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
We've gotten some great ones again. Thanks to everyone who's been submitting them. Keep them coming. We appreciate them. There's some really good stuff.
Yeah. So I guess the first one is we're in a beautiful new construction building.
Yep.
What are questions that a buyer should be asking about new construction?
Absolutely. That's a great question. Truth is we probably sell more new construction than anything else. But as very experienced advisors, we love to sell things that are 1 to 5 years old, right? Because new construction comes with some risk. Nobody's ever lived in the property before. There are some inherent risks on how is it built, how's it going to weather, how's it going to settle. I'd say for me, first and foremost, the number one thing that I look at with new construction is who the developer was. We just spoke about how Belgravia, for example, has got a great reputation. They've done it for a very, very long time. They know what they're doing. They put out, great products time and time again. Now, we don't always, especially in a market like this, have the opportunity to work with a builder that we know.
Yeah.
So
how do you find, so I guess the question is, how do you find a builder, or how do you, because there's...
How do you vet a builder?
Well, how do you vet a builder, but also how do you find who the developer is? Because also right now what we're seeing is, even in our urban markets, a lot of like smaller buildings, right? Because most newer developers, they go for the smaller projects because it's building up.
For certain.
Then how do you...
Well, and there's two things to consider. The developer can be the builder, but the developer isn't always the builder. Sometimes you can have a developer and a builder, so you want to understand both their levels of experience. For me, if I'm not personally aware of them and their quality and stuff like that, I always start with asking for a list of their past projects. When I get a list of their past projects, I will reach out to every buyer's agent that represented the buyer on that past project. Ask how it was during the process, how were they in the year after when they were working through developer kinks, and is the client overall happy with the process and how things get. People are going to be very, very telling in that, because we have a lot of builders that are great to the finish line and then disappear afterwards. So I always want to hear from my colleagues, my peers, and have an understanding of how those people have been working in our market. So that's a big thing for me. I try and walk through other projects with them so that I can take clients through to say, hey, here's a project that they previously did, so that we can take a look at some of those things. What about you? What are some of the things that you're doing with new construction?
I don't know. It just depends on like what the new construction is.
Sure.
I actually haven't sold a ton of new construction. Like in my time, I've sold a handful. Some have been really good and some have been really bad. But I feel like you can always like kind of tell when it's going to also be bad. So like a couple of years ago, I sold a new construction and I like walked in and we were like doing the inspection, and I literally told the client, I was like, I never tell clients not to purchase properties. Like that is their decision. I will give my honest feedback. And that was the one I was like, I would personally not buy this just because you can just tell the craftsmanship was not there.
Yeah.
Just even like within the house. And so...
And did they still buy it?
They still bought it. They didn't listen to me. And then 2 years after, they called me and they're like, that was a big mistake on our end just because there was so much water damage because they used the wrong route in the tuck point.
Yep.
And all of that.
So it
ended up being like a $40,000 fix.
Yeah.
From his unit specifically. And so it was just, it's a hard thing to do.
It is.
And because like I have another client who is like, they're literally $400,000 brand new construction within the last 2 years, and they're $400,000 and they're suing the developer based on it. And it's, again, not a very good reputable.
Yeah. No, you bring up a great point. I always joke and say that I'm known to talk clients out of buying and selling. It's kind of something that I tend to do. But the reality is it's always our client's decision at the end. I will absolutely tell somebody, hey, if it were me in your position with your priorities and your goals, I'm not comfortable with it. I guess I'm a little luckier that most of the time when I tell people that, they're like, morning, we're out of here. We're not going to play this game anymore from that perspective. But if the reality is I do tell people is here's what I'm going to advise you on. Here's what I'm going to tell you. But then I'm going to step back and let you make the decision that is your decision to make.
Yeah.
And I won't say I told you so.
I didn't say I told you so. I swear to God, I was like, okay, how do we get this fixed? How do we resolve
that's all you
it?
can.
Like, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, but now going forward, you're like, all right, this actually does happen.
For certain.
There's a lot of bad new construction out there too.
Yeah, the other thing that I think is kind of mentioning that whole developer versus builder, there's a lot of different relationships in there. So for example, in the last year, I saw one where the developer was a little bit on the greener, newer side, but the builder was really, really well experienced. So it was one of those things that I had to explain to a client that the developer was a little greener, and so kind of what we might expect with that, but the person that was creating the product was tried and tested. So the process there might have a couple kinks along the way, but I felt confident in that.
Yeah.
Because the reality is especially in our smaller markets, we're not going to see Belgravia doing a single family home or a 3-unit building. We're not going to get a name like that.
Exactly.
When we do smaller projects, sometimes we have to get a little bit more creative in how we find confidence in that.
Yeah, totally.
I'd say the one other thing on that I think is kind of just important to note is a lot of times, especially if there's a builder that I like, or an agent, a developer that represents a builder and a developer, I will reach out to their agent and I'll say, hey, I know what you're marketing, but what else do you have coming now? Especially in this day and age with limited inventory, we've been doing a lot of this to say, hey, what other sites are you working on? What other projects? Sometimes we can get an inside scoop, especially if it's a builder and a developer that we like.
Yeah, I love that.
And we actually had a ton of questions on investing in real estate. What does it take? Where should I buy? Is flipping dead? What makes sense in today's market?
Yeah, so this is actually a really interesting question, just because I was reading an opinion piece the other day. I forget which media source it was, but they were just talking about how it's so hard in today's market to be an actual flipper. And again, it just goes back to numbers, right? So on a normal flip, I'd like to see a 20% return, like a margin. And so that's just really hard right now.
Yeah, I mean, and I think flipping, I agree with you. I don't think this is the market to flip because a couple of things. Number one, your entry level is higher. Number
points.
2,
contractor prices are.
Your costs to renovate and flip are higher. And number 3, if we look at from a timing perspective, we're kind of at a point where, right, even if you're just putting some lipstick on it, we're going to put it back on the market at a time that is not as flourishing as others.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I always ask when people are looking to invest, kind of what are their investment strategies, right? Everybody's looking to do something different. Is it a short term? Is it a long term? Is it I'm looking to gain equity in a property to sell at some point? Am I trying to make some monthly revenues? There's so many things that go into the investment question. That being said, when a market is very low on inventory and very high on demand, and most homes are selling a bit at a premium, that typically isn't going to be my advice for somebody to enter from an investment, with the exception of if somebody's trying to move money around and trying to do some things with money differently. I typically would look at a client, I'd start to put together a strategy, and I'd say, hey, based on what you're looking to do, I think Q3 and Q4 tend to see a little bit of softer pricing. We tend to be able, even if we go back to last year, we could have had people doing a lot better and accomplishing their investment goals better. Now, the good news is we're essentially less than 3 months away from Q3, so it's not like we're talking about a long time away at all.
Yeah.
But I think as a vast generalization, which I shouldn't do, I'm going to chastise myself for doing it, I don't think right now is the best time for most investment strategies to be implemented.
Oh, I 1,000% agree. I mean, again, with interest rates and where everything is at, it's just Chicago, we normally cash flow pretty well. And even now with our investors, we've been talking to them consistently. And honestly, it's about putting more money down. So you actually do cash flow.
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, you can't have a normal strategy right now that we were using last year or even 2 years ago.
No.
It's a different market. And so.
Yeah, that being said, there's obviously a lot of nuances within that. So that's a strategy conversation that goes way more in depth. But a very, very surface level right now typically isn't the market conditions that would make sense. for somebody to buy their investment property right now, but this is the time that I would slowly start to plan.
Yeah, I was going to say, start planning. If you start saving up the money right now and just like holding it on the side.
Always about the money with you, Samuel, isn't it?
Hey, I like money. Who doesn't? But no, I mean, like, as long as you're like saving up a little bit of money, then when the market does hit that pivotal point, like a Q4, then we can actually we can implement it. And then you actually have that cash flow so that we could make you cash flow. Now, the one thing about buying in Q4, Q3, Q4 is if you're looking for a long-term investment, you're either going to take somebody's tenants on, which is an inherent risk, or you're also going to probably be in a lower rental market. So that's the other thing that you also have to look at. But if it's a long-term strategy, it's a short-term loss, but for a long-term gain.
For certain.
Again, then we can kind of like strategize at that one too.
That's a great point. Yeah, those that are closing in October, know that there could be a couple of months of vacancy or having to reduce a rent versus somebody that might be at the very beginning of Q3 or somebody that might be towards the end, hopefully trying to grasp something closing into Q1 of the next year.
Yeah, exactly. Next question. So, Amanda, what did you do before real estate? We've been doing this a long time, so it's very hard to actually even think about something pre-real estate.
I could barely think pre-pandemic.
True.
Or definitely pre-children.
I literally ran into somebody at the coffee shop this morning. I was like, I haven't seen you in forever. How have you survived the pandemic? That was literally our first question.
Before real estate. So I've been doing this now for 21 years. I'm coming up on my 22nd year anniversary. And prior to this, I have a little bit of a unique and interesting background. Not one you hear every day. I actually rode horses professionally. One of my college degrees is in equestrian studies. And that when I got out of college, I worked with horses. I think most people know that I do have a strong passion and a strong sense. Horse has been a part of my life for the majority of it. And I did go into the professional field where I was helping clients, training them to ride, helping them to buy and sell horses, compete on all sorts of different levels. It was a very fulfilling job, but it was also a very taxing job. Being the people that do that, it is a labor of passion. The hours are unrivaled what we do now.
Yeah.
They work incredibly hard. It is very, very difficult. It's a hard industry to be in. And the funny thing is that when I was following my passion and getting into this industry, I'm sure my parents told me on many, many different occasions, are you sure you want to do that? And I did. It was something that makes me feel fantastic about myself. It's something that I really, really enjoy, and it kind of fulfills me in a way that most things don't. Now, it's interesting. One of my clients is actually, I think, who got me out of it. I rode professionally for a couple of years out of college. One of my clients who became a little bit of a life mentor for me, she pulled me aside one day and she said, I absolutely adore training with you. I think you are just a top-notch person. She goes, this is a very, very hard road that you are going down. And I believe that you have every skill set to go really flourish in everything else. And have you ever considered going and doing that and circling back to this as just your passion?
Yeah.
And for some reason, hearing it from somebody else clicked. I took about a 10, 11-year hiatus from riding horses. I stopped. I started my career in real estate. I waited for my career to really blossom and bloom. And when I could afford to go back, I went back. And now it is absolutely a passion project for me. And yet real estate is as well. But this is obviously where I thrive.
I didn't realize you actually rode professionally. It
was a hot flash in time.
I just remember your moments starting in Chicago.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, for certain. What about you?
So I'm 33. I've been selling real estate for almost 14 years.
I'm 33 too.
Yeah. So I luckily have been doing it for 14 years. I started, so prior to real estate, I actually was a swim coach and a lifeguard.
Right.
And
the swimming is your passion, right?
That was my passion. But that was in high school and then in college, and I swam in college. And then luckily I moved to Chicago. I had a full ride at Green Bay, and I was like, I am going to Chicago no matter what. And I was a walk-on. But because of that, my parents were so mad at me. I had to fight for it. And so I literally had to get a job my first year. So I swam, went to college, and had to get a job. And so that job was working retail.
Okay.
And I loved it. I like loved the sales aspect. I've never done a sales job ever in my life. And I just like loved connecting with people. I still have friends from that time frame, which is insane. And because of that, I wanted to go more entrepreneurial. So I like took that route. And so I started real estate my sophomore year of college, actually by meeting a lady in the dressing room, not like in a weird way, but I was helping her find dresses.
Not a weird way.
Yeah, in a not weird way. I was helping her find dresses, and literally because of that, she was like, "Hey, what are you similar to your mentor? What are you doing after college?" And I said, "Well, I think I want to go into real estate. I'm just switched my degree. I'm going to go in economics with an emphasis in real estate finance." And she was like, "Funny enough, I just left my job at App Properties. She was an agent with App Properties.
Small world.
Small world." And she was like, "My husband's a developer. I'm going on my own. Do you want an internship?" And so I started literally that the next week with her. And so it's just been a gradual build with my career ever since. So I'm like, I literally only know real estate. So, I mean, it's so fascinating. And I tell everybody that because most people in real estate, it's their third or fourth career, right? They like didn't want to be the corporate, but this was always like a passion of mine. And so I just have
Fantastic.
kind of fallen into everything, which is great.
Awesome. Okay, this is a good one. I'm moving out of state and have no clue where to start. Can you help?
So we can always help with people who are trying to move out of the state. We're trying to help them sell their property, I assume. But then B, on the flip side, we do have a vast network of agents that we know throughout the country. The good thing is we actually have talked about this in the past is we're in a part of a coaching program that's based on just real estate. So we are networking with agents throughout the country all the time, which is phenomenal. And those people are people who are elevating their business and their customer service and everything that they're trying to do within real estate. They're trying to be on the next level, which is similar to us. So we can kind of like use that.
Yep.
The other thing also is we're in networking groups. So I'm a part of the Gay Alliance.
Right, you're gay?
Yes, I'm gay. But couldn't tell with the hand flips. I talk with my hands. But yeah, so we're a part of the Gay Alliance, which is like a majority of the gay agents throughout the entire country. So we definitely help with like introducing our clients to gay friendly or like people who are just open to more gay friendly.
Yeah, no, we have obviously, and I think that this question can go larger. I think it's even when we have people that want to go to the suburbs, everybody that knows me knows that we both concentrate on the city and certain elements of it, but that we have created over the past 2 decades trusted alliances with so many people, right? We have agents that handle the North Shore, the Western suburbs, everywhere in between. We also have agents. We've had a lot of clients that have come to us about second homes recently. They want something in Michigan or Wisconsin or, Indiana. We've got a lot of great agents there. We've spent time to be able to create these relationships with people that work like us and that we trust, even on a national level through a lot of different affiliations, the Tom Ferry Coaching. We have the Christie's that we've acquired now. That's a national brand, and we've got a lot of agents in this. So we always want to make sure that our clients get good service when they go somewhere else. We'd appreciate being involved. And as I tell all my clients, I'm not going to be leading your charge there, but I know enough about real estate to be able to say, hey, bounce something off me. You're told something and you want to hear it digested from somebody bring it back to me. I don't know that market. I'm not going to pretend like I know that market, but I can at least tell you, hey, here's the questions I would ask. I am still happy to be a part of that team. I'm just not going to be the coach in that one.
Yeah. I mean, like even so my grandmother passed like a couple weeks ago and my parents I probably don't know if I should say this on here, but my parents are selling their house. And so they were asking questions about, hey, you're the real estate expert in the family. What
do we do?
We're talking with this agent there, and she's an expert for the area,
Mm-hmm.
but
How do we handle
How do we handle pricing? How do we handle staging? So I like literally went through the house and I said, you know, I love grandma's thing, but like, let's take it down off the wall. Like,
Right.
let's rearrange some of this furniture. Would you mind painting some of this? You know, take
Yeah.
down the crocheted things. I mean, but it does help having somebody in your back corner that's also not there to say, hey, these are like little advice things. They wanted to overprice it. And I was just like, based on marketing, look at like price points. So they wanted to try for a higher price. And I said, well, try for this price. Because if you look at the marketing standpoint, most buyers are searching for the price point of X through Y. So if you price a little bit higher, it may not make sense.
Totally.
So
yes, we can help.
So yes.
I'd like to think we can help in most everything, but
Yes.
we can definitely help in that. Oh, this one's good. What is the most embarrassing story you have in real estate?
Well, I have a lot of embarrassing stories just because I'm an embarrassing person to start off with. But I can probably say my most embarrassing one was I had a listing appointment on the south side of Chicago, like 7,000 South Shore, and I did not know the person, and I was driving there, and I thought, I was like, oh my God, I have no idea who this person is. I had the gut feeling in my stomach, and yeah, I just like called the guy that I was dating at the time, and I was like, look, I'm going here. I don't know. I just feel bad, but this is the address. If I don't call you in an hour, you know, just let me.
Send health.
Yes. So I'm on the listing appointment, and actually this story has two parts.
A double whammy.
It was a double whammy. So I was on like signing paperwork. I was trying to rush through, and he like had just gone shopping and like put the Target bag on the like kitchen island, and it pulls out a big box of condoms.
Okay.
And it was the most interesting thing. I was like, I need to get out of here. But at that moment, my stomach also dropped. And so I was really rushing out of that house. And because it was in the south side of Chicago, I did not know where all the public restrooms are. Like on the north side, you're just like, all right, I know there's a Mariano's there. I know there's a Home Depot. You can figure it out.
Aside from you had to go.
I had to go. So I literally just ran out of the house, figured out how to get to an alley, and I just let it go in an alley. And it was not my most shining moment, but it definitely was an embarrassment. I was like, okay, I'm like between the condoms, the weirdness that I was like feeling for it, I got the listing.
I was going to say, the question is, did you get the listing?
We got the listing. We ended up selling it. He ended up being a really nice guy, but it was just like the weirdest moment. I was just like, I just don't know if I'm putting myself. And then the stomach issue, I was like, God, this would totally happen.
Wow.
What's your most embarrassing story? Have you pooped anywhere?
I have not pooped anywhere.
Okay, cool.
I've had clients poop, but we talked about that before.
Yes, we talked about it last time.
So
why are we always on the poop stage? We love pooping.
We love poop. Anyways, I can't believe I'm going to share this story, but I'm going to. I have to make sure I'm okay to do this.
It will never come back and haunt you.
It's just going to go fly into the universe. So anyways, gosh, this had to be many moons ago. My mother-in-law was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and had a really rough go at it. And in the middle of it, we had somebody recommend to us that we should do some pot cookies to try and get her to eat a little bit more. She was losing a lot of weight, and we really just thought that this would be a way to stimulate her appetite. It was recommended. So that's an important part of the story. Fast forward, we flew back into town late on a Sunday night. I had an inspection first thing Monday morning. On the way out, we had no food in the house because there was not anything because we were out of town.
Yeah.
I opened up the pantry, and in the back of the pantry, I found a bag of kind of stale homemade chocolate chip cookies. I knew they weren't going to be fresh. I knew they weren't going to be good, but they were going to be sustenance. And I was about to walk into a 2 to 3 hour inspection. And I just needed something in my stomach to get through. I ate 3 of those cookies. As I get into the inspection, I'm up about 30 minutes in.
I can see where this is going.
And I start feeling a little tipsy, a little woozy. And I thought to myself, I drink bulletproof coffee. I thought, oh, I must have made that coffee really strong. I'm feeling kind of jacked up. Well, 30 minutes later, I am essentially high as a kite, in an inspection with my buyers. And everybody that knows me knows that I like to be in control of everything. So, long story short, the cookies that were in the pantry were a failed batch that didn't make it to mom. They didn't make it to mom because they were too strong.
Oh gosh.
I ate three of them, went into this inspection. It all went fine. I moved around. I talked. I don't think I made a fool of myself. I could be wrong. Fast forward, I think I was high for the next 12 hours. Luckily, that was my only client face-to-face of the day. I went through the rest of my day cursing those dang cookies, and knowing that I never wanted to be that high again. I made it through, and now I'm here sharing that with people.
That is hilarious. I feel like I would pay money to see you high.
I think that's the funniest part of the story, I think, is that it's me, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people that I be like, hey, I mean, I do that anyways. That's how I get through my days. But like me doing that, yeah, I'm laughing totally at myself on that. That was a major screw up.
That is so funny.
No pooping in the alley, but I was high as a kite at an inspection. Now all of my clients are going to try and think back and go,
which one was it me?
Was it me? Was it that time? Was her mother-in-law still alive, right? She passed away in 2019, so whomever this is, it was prior to 2019. Okay, moving on from that topic, because I'm feeling a little humiliated in it.
No, we feel flush.
Flush.
It's called blushing. It's all good.
Mistakes happen in life. It's how we grow and do it. I don't eat stale cookies out of the pantry anymore.
I carry a bucket in my car now. I haven't learned from that mistake, so
What points?
I have pinpoints now of all the restrooms on the south side.
Had a great idea for your Christmas present this year.
Oh gosh.
Okay, moving on.
All right. We're looking at moving. Oh yeah, this is great. We're looking at moving, but concerned about schools in the areas where we'd like to live in. How does CPS work? You're the perfect person for
I will take this on.
You have kids in the public schools.
You know, the schools in the city are something that are very, very interesting to me. I think a lot of people move out of the city because they're overwhelmed by the process and they're overwhelmed by the idea of what schools can they go to, how much is it going to cost, what happens if the schools aren't good enough, all of that. As somebody that has studied our schools and really spent time in them as a parent and as a realtor, what I love about the city as an option for schooling is that there are so many options, right?
Yeah.
When you move to the suburbs, the reality is you're probably moving to go to that neighborhood school.
Yeah.
If that doesn't work out, you'll probably look at a private school. In the city, our options are endless. From a CPS perspective, you actually have choices. You have your neighborhood school that if you buy into the neighborhood, you can show up and they can't turn you down no matter what. So you have that.
And to preface, we actually do have really great schools within the city. They rank within the top in the state and in the country, some of them.
In my opinion, what happened during the housing crisis really boosted our education to a higher level because parents got stuck and then parents got involved. And when parents got involved in the schools, I mean, when we were doing this pre-housing crisis, you know, I'd probably say there was a half a dozen elementary school levels that we were like, these are good schools.
Yep.
Once parents got stuck in their homes and had to get involved in the schools and demand more from their schools, raise more money for their schools, all those things, we saw that, especially on the elementary level, our schools went through the roof.
Yeah.
Right? We still have some schools that need some improvement, need some help, but as a whole, we have a lot more options. Now, what's interesting about the way CPS, Chicago Public School District, works is that you can go to your neighborhood school, but you can test into schools. So you can take a test and try and test into, there are 5 selective enrollment schools, but you can also lottery into any school you want.
Yeah.
If they have,
You guys did the lottery system.
we did the lottery system. So I still put my kids into the lottery every year just so that I can explain to people kind of how it works, what comes up and stuff like that. When you do the lottery system, you can apply to up to 26 schools. So you can say, hey, any of these 26 schools, it is a lottery system. So that basically what happens is that you can maybe get into some, maybe you're waitlisted, you know where you are on the wait list. I can tell you now, I've been lottering into schools for 3 years. There has never been a year that I have not gotten into at least 3 schools that I was very, very excited about.
Okay.
It's more cutthroat on the kindergarten level. As you get older, you get into more schools because people move. There's the other thing to note is that there are sibling lotteries. So if you have one kid going to a school, your sibling would have a higher likelihood of getting into that school because of the sibling lottery. So, I mean, that's just scratching the surface. There's so much to it. But I think the real important part is that there are so many options. Our oldest went to at one school for kindergarten. We decided it was a little bit of a smaller school than she was going to thrive in. We moved her to a different school moving forward. It's done great. But having that flexibility, I mean, the reality is flexibility is the key to parenting, and it sure is the key to education. So it's something that I'm really excited about. But I know for a lot of people, it's scary because they don't understand it.
Yeah, totally.
So,
I don't work with a lot of kids.
right. Time will tell.
Time will tell. Yes, I do have a handful of, like, I feel like all my clients are like baby babies.
Just
They're
starting.
just starting. They're not even thinking about schools at the moment.
Right.
Luckily. But I know that's going to change.
I would say
It's
daycare is
gonna
pretty
change.
cutthroat. You know, I can actually tell you it's funny going from daycare to public school. It was one of the things that I was like, wow, I can now send my kids to school and it costs a whole lot less.
Yeah, it's like insane.
The other things that I will put out, a lot of people are intimidated by private schools because of the cost. There are definitely some very, very expensive private schools, but there are also some private schools that are very reasonably priced within the neighborhoods that are very good as well. So I'm just always so impressed
I have a
with
lot
the
of friends
city.
who went to St. Ignatius.
Yep. I'd say SJB, we've got a lot of in Logan Square. We see a lot of different things, but overall, our ability to have so many schooling options is actually what I see as a major benefit of staying in the city.
Yeah, love that.
Oh, this is a good one. So, I'm sure everyone has been blessed with the experience of the latest highway project. We are in it for the next 3 years? 3 years? 3 years.
3 years.
It's a 3-year project.
Yep.
And it's obviously making commuting very, very challenging and very difficult. So this was a great question. Any tips on how to get around the city quickly, since you guys are always getting around the city?
Yes. So we have a lot of like little tricks. Honestly, like when we drive down the street so frequently, you actually like figure out what lanes move the fastest at which point. So like I literally like zip through and I don't know. That is
And you say you're not OCD. I'm going to call that out as OCD.
So I hate driving. So that is like my biggest pet peeve in life.
Yeah.
If I could never drive, I would be like the happiest person. I actually sold real estate for 6 years without a car.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
I mean, it was very interesting. It was like a really fun time. I mean, I was in really good shape. I mean, I'm in good shape now, but I was like skinny. It was cute. I mean, it's like
I need to start saying that about myself.
I used to like take my bike or I would like Uber or do whatever. But I mean, like that's also the reason why I live in River North is because I do like the accessibility and knowing I can get anywhere in the city within
You just like for a drive
15, 20 minutes. Lakeshore Drive is a hidden gem just because you can, if there's no traffic, you can get anywhere from the like River North all the way up to Edgewater in 5 to 10 minutes.
I think you're speeding. If you're doing that in 5 minutes, I think you're speeding.
Okay, so the rule about Lakeshore Drive, 60 miles per hour is the actual speed limit. I know the sign says 40, but nobody I know ever listens to it. And I've never seen a cop pull anybody over unless you're going
I have.
way, 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 way over.
So Lakeshore Drive is one of your hidden secrets for getting around the city.
Lakeshore Drive, alleyways.
Alleyways.
I love a good alley, especially if there's like if it's standstill traffic. Sorry, I'm gonna go through the alley. I know it's like not the most kosher thing to do, but
My automotive guy always tells me, where do you get all these nails in your tires? Alleyways. He's like, are you around new construction? Alleyways. It's a roofing nail.
Yeah, it just helps a little bit.
Actually, a cute story on that, and this is way before every phone had GPS in it, is that I remember the guy was trying to sell me GPS in the car. Not every car had it. You paid $2,000 extra for it. And I remember saying to him, I was like, does this map include alleys and finding the fastest commute? And he told me no, and I had no interest in it, so I didn't do it.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
You're right. I yeah, outties.
But like just like even navigating through like the side streets, like I know a lot of people like take the busier streets, but sometimes the side streets are going to be a little bit faster.
So my two favorite shortcuts, which I don't know if I should tell people this because now all of a sudden everyone's going to be on them. Number one, Elston. Elston, in my opinion, is a really good way, especially with where the construction is at right now. You can zip in, you can get in, and typically you don't see too much traffic there.
Yeah.
I'd also say Portland, getting from Bucktown to Lincoln Park is a huge one.
Fastest way.
When they shut that down, when they were doing all the stuff with where Lincoln Yards is going up, that felt like somebody cut off one of my limbs.
Yeah.
Because I am on Cortland all the time to try and get through it. So those are my two. I would say Elston to get downtown, Cortland to get east to west.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, that's going to be my secret route.
Yeah. I think just anywhere in the city, like east-west is really difficult.
Tough.
It's north-south is always super, super easy.
Yeah.
So that's like that's the hard part. I use Waze a lot though.
I use Waze a lot too.
I mean, it's really nice.
To tell you where the traffic is.
Tell you where the traffic is, tell you where like streets are closed. But it also just like tells you like where to like turn. I mean, sometimes they'll use like back end ways. I feel like they haven't been doing it as much lately. They typically take like the most direct route lately.
So my problem with Waze is my competitive spirit comes out in that. So when they tell me it's going to take me 12 minutes to get somewhere, I automatically feel like I need to beat it. Like I need to like either I can find a faster way or I can do it faster, which is probably not a healthy sentiment.
I do that too. Yesterday I beat it by 5 minutes. It was great.
Okay, so that is all of our questions today. We made it through another episode. First and foremost, thank you to everybody that sent in questions. If you have things that are on your mind, please send them in. We love hearing from you guys, and we love being able to actually give content that you guys are looking for. You can DM us, you can email us, you can call us, you can find us. I'm fairly certain of that. We're looking forward to starting up Q2 and see where we go from here.
Q2. We're ready for it.
We're ready for more inventory.
Yeah, if you're looking to sell your house, call us.
Right.
We'll get you a great number and we'll help you out.
Okay, well, until next time, Chicago.
Until next time.